talking about softness, definitely, I believe you can get a lot more by getting people in love with something than fighting against something. But what about changing the perspective? And I mean, just be soft and respect. I mean, the word respect is so valuable. And also when we say sometimes very uh, lightly that we are nature, I mean, how many people really understand what this phrase means?
Welcome to Whole and Unleashed, a podcast about coming home to ourselves. I'm your host, Jessica Locke, a holistic mindset, Stråla Yoga, and human design guide. This podcast is not about telling you what to do. It's about sharing stories and tools to connect to your inner wisdom and maybe give you an extra nudge towards living wholeheartedly. Because deep down, only you know what's best for you. We'll be talking mindset, business, recovering from burnout, human design, transitions, and so much more. Let's dive in, shall we? Welcome back to Whole and Unleashed. I'm so excited to kick off season 4 with you. This season, you'll hear a mix of conversations, some that weave in human design, and others that simply share inspiring stories of growth, healing, passion, and wholehearted living. Today's episode is a special one. It was recorded about a year ago, and I'm so thrilled to finally share it with you. I'll also be releasing new conversations that I'm currently working on and previous ones, so you can expect a beautiful blend of past and present reflections throughout this season. So, today's guest is Susi Barreto, who I met during my Stråla Yoga training. You'll hear a little bit more about our connection in a conversation. And Susi has always shared a deep connection to nature. From a young age, she spent countless hours outdoors, nurturing a passion that would shape her life's path. She went on to study biology and has dedicated herself to both raising her 3 grown sons and creating spaces that inspire people to connect with and protect the environment. A lifelong explorer, Susi's curiosity and love for movement has also led her to becoming a Stråla Yoga guide, and most recently, she published her first children's book, A Good Earthling, continuing her mission to celebrate and safeguard our natural world. Come join us. Hola, hola, bienvenidos. I think this might be the first time I will do maybe a little bit of Spanglish on the podcast.
Good for me.
Yeah. Today I'm with a very, very special dear friend, Susi Barreto, and it will be a little bit different from my heavy human design focus episodes, but I really wanted to interview her today because she's an amazing person and also talk about her book, A Good Earthling.
Yes.
Yeah, welcome, Susi. How are you? ¿Cómo estás?
Hi, I'm very glad to be here with you. We've been wanting to do this for a while now. I finally made it. Yes.
Yeah.
Happy, really
So
happy to be here.
I know I met Susi a few years ago, maybe
It was
2017.
2017. Yes,
Oh,
2017. That was
wait, is that
5 years ago.
5 years ago? Okay, my math is
No
terrible.
more.
7 years
More.
ago. No.
17, 7 years will be
2024. What?
Yes, of course.
Oh
yes.
my gosh.
On November, it will be 7 years. Yeah,
Yes.
It was on November.
And it was for a Stråla Yoga training, and I gravitated, we found each other, Latinas, speaking Spanish, connecting.
Power. Yeah, of course.
But I do not do yoga in Spanish. If you want any Stråla en Español, that should be Susi. But Susi is from Venezuela. And tell me a little bit more about yourself. How did you ended up in Amsterdam? But before that, tell me. Yeah.
Well, I guess I started my yoga practice and didn't really fit anywhere, didn't really like any style I tried out. So I decided just to do home practice. I said, hey, I don't want to waste my time with all these people that are, I don't know, pushing me around and stuff, So I started to doing home practice. Actually, then I went back a little bit I tried some Ashtanga yoga and I got injured pretty bad. And so I had to move away from it and started, I needed to do some kind of moving meditation in my life. I was missing that. So I've always, I mean, Tai Chi always had flirted with me. And so I said, okay, now it's the time. Now I cannot do yoga because I have a shoulder injury, and Tai Chi is always on my feet. So this is something I can do right now. So I went on and got into this Tai Chi, really traditional Tai Chi school, and learned all the forms and everything for about 2 years. And I found myself like really into these soft movements, continuous flow. And well, I decided to go back to my mat because I wanted to get back, I don't know, on my hands. Just, the vocabulary of yoga is a lot more dense. So I just Googled yoga, Tai Chi, shoulder injury. Actually, I just Googled those 4 words and Strala popped up. So I just saw the first videos and I said, what is this? I've never seen this, but this is so appealing. So I remember writing an email to Tara and telling her, I live in Venezuela. I don't have many options here. We don't, in my city, there wasn't even a yoga studio at the time. So I was like, I want to put up a yoga studio. Tell me how to do this. But she said, okay, first you have to learn the thing. You have to train.
Yeah.
So yeah, I ended up like 5 months after this. There were no online trainings at the moment, which I kind of feel grateful about it at the time, because otherwise I would have never traveled. I would have never known you, because I would have stayed at home. Maybe it would have been cheaper, of course, because I wouldn't have to, buy a ticket and move out for 2 weeks. But I'm so glad the moment I had to make that effort, I went to New York for a short training. They used to call it summer camp at the time. And then I was like, I want more of this. So the 200-hour teacher training was coming up. There were two options. Either you did it in New York or in Amsterdam. And I say, hey, I've been to New York. I've never been to Amsterdam.
That was exactly my logic too. I'm like, let's make a trip out of it.
Yeah, I think I remember us talking about it. And yeah, that's how I ended up in Amsterdam for this training. And I mean, it was wonderful to travel by myself, to stay at an Airbnb with this random person and not getting to know all these beautiful women. So yeah, it was. I always say it was like the UN of yoga for me. I mean, staying there for those 2 weeks. I remember I made a list. I must have kept it somewhere. I could find it, but I kept, when we introduced ourselves, every time somebody said, I am from here and there, I started writing down. So I noticed that we were, I think, 19 different countries. So every time somebody, yeah, it was 19 different countries. So every time somebody introduced themselves and said, hi, I'm such and such from whatever, I would write it down. And I have this list. And it was really exciting to I don't know, get to know all these people, different languages, different cultures. And even though we were all speaking like the same body language, and we were like connecting in such a profound way, I think that was that. I mean, it's been one of the most beautiful experiences and most life-changing experiences I've had.
Agree. And I love seeing like your journey, because then we follow each other on Instagram, because it's almost like the post Strala, like you take everything you've learned in embodiment, and you're a biologist, you're a teacher. Like, tell me about the background of that. How did you get into that field of work of interest?
Yeah, well, that's my major. I studied biology at the university, and I've always knew that I would like to work with living organisms, and also I used to tease like I get along better with animals than with people at the moment. So I would always say, okay, I don't want to deal with people. I want to, mingle with nature. And so yeah, biology was like it wasn't any confusion about it. There was a really clear vocation. I had no doubt on what I wanted to pursue as a professional. And so I studied biology, but then I had my kids really early. I was only 22 when I had my kids. So I couldn't really work as a biologist, field biologist, which is what I wanted to do. So at the moment with little kids, the opportunity to teach biology presented itself. And so I gave it a go and discovered that I loved teaching. I didn't know that about myself. I've had work like in summer camps, like being a counselor or guide or something with kids. So I knew I had a way with kids, and I could, relate with them and know how to communicate with them. But yeah, getting to teach was something completely different. Like I had like no pedagogical knowledge. So those I had to like learn along the way. Also here in Venezuela, if you're not a certified teacher, I was giving biology. Like I had the knowledge, but I didn't have the skills. So I had to study something like like a certification to teach, no, so that the Ministry of Education would accept my job, let's say. So yeah, I started working in this school, which was really nice. It gave me a lot of opportunities to, I don't know, take the kids out, do experiments and stuff. So a lot of like hands-on learning. So for me, it was great. Up to date, I still, meet students that I had like 20 something years ago, and I remember them by name, and I don't know, I just run into them in the supermarket. Hey, teacher. So it's really nice, to build those bonds. Actually, when I went to New York, there's this story is really beautiful. Rodolfo, who had been a student of mine, I found him on Instagram. We hadn't been in touch for, I don't know, 15 something years. And I wrote to him and I said, I see you're in New York. He's an artist. I would love to meet. And he said, I know where we're going to meet. It's someplace that I've always wanted to visit. And I was waiting for you. So we met at the botanical garden, and it was so magical. I remember going with my husband, and Rodolfo and I went just talking like we never missed a day. And my husband say, "Hey, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna leave you two guys to catch up," and we enjoyed it so much. So yes, I mean, teaching has given me all those spaces of connection, and really, forming bonds. And for me, it's always been that way. So it had such a parallel essence with Strala, which is really horizontal too. So it's not like, the teachers here and the students are here. I've always treated my students like friends. Obviously, there's respect, there's, authority at some point. But yeah, I think that's made it like really beautiful, and also really nurturing. And yeah, like right now, I haven't teach for about 12 years. And 2 months ago, I went to a school to sell my book. And as I was pitching the book, the two people that were interviewing me for the book kept looking at each other. They were going like this, and then they look at each other, they looked at me, and they say, "Hey, do you want to work here?" And I said, "I am not looking for a job. I already have a job."
Yeah.
And they say, "The science teacher just left, and you're not here for, I don't know, by chance.
Yeah.
Universe sent you today." And so I started teaching a month ago again. Yeah.
Oh, all these synchronicities of like life and
Yes.
opportunities and people finding and connecting with you. I think like I've always admired the way that you were so, and even when you show up, you share so much your love for nature. Like there is a love, there is a pure curiosity, and it's a joy to, hear you share about the things. How can we be more sustainable? How can we take care of the earth? From a perspective that really, for me, it feels like it comes from the heart. Like you just bring it. It's the aura that you bring in with you. And I think people can definitely feel that. Like we need a little bit of that energy. Yes, we need the protest. We need that strong fighting energy. We also need the passionate, the be like, tell me the wonderful, beautiful things about nature.
Exactly. Yeah, because I mean, talking about softness, this has a lot to do. I'm getting goosebumps. But yeah, talking about softness, definitely, I believe you can get a lot more by getting people in love with something than fighting against something. So it's not like we have to fight pollution or fight, I don't know, let's say climate change, but climate change is not like, I mean, it's man-made, or fight things that are producing this impact in the environment. But what about changing the perspective? And I mean, just be soft and respect. I mean, the word respect is so valuable. And also when we say sometimes very lightly that we are nature, I mean, how many people really understand what this phrase means? I mean, we really are nature. Everything we are, everything we get, everything that keeps us here comes from nature. So yeah, I guess building that love and that sensitivity towards nature, if people had that, none of the other things would be needed. Definitely. I mean, if you're talking about a company that you have the CEO or the general manager or whatever, if he had sensitivity towards the environment, he wouldn't have to follow I don't know, environmental certifications, international standards, whatever, a book this thick to tell him how to fix things, you know, after I don't know, after they've neglected everything. So also another relationship with Stella, no? We always talk about not fixing. Let's start by not creating the problem in the beginning, right? So yeah, I guess something we also in the community repeat a lot, and Tara likes to say a lot, is everything is everything. And I mean, it's all so connected, and it's a philosophy. I mean, if you really think and embody these concepts or this paradigm, I mean, everything would be so different. Definitely.
Yeah. Did you always had a connection to nature or like exposure to nature growing up? Because I feel like I was such a city girl. Like even in Peru, like we were in the city, there were some parks, but I never felt a genuine connection to it. And I think my parents, coming from China, they're like, we're trying to avoid the outdoors. We want a roof on top of our head. That's the perception, not saying that it's good or bad, So I've never learned to admire it until I was older. Tell me,
well,
what was your connection?
In my case, growing up, I was so lucky that way. Like in my parents' house, we had my father, he was a fisherman and a hunter. Okay, so that was like my first encounter with nature. We would go into nature because my father was going on a fishing trip or was going on a hunting trip. Uh, at the beginning, when I was, I don't know, around 11, 12, I would go to a hunting trip with him, and I would be the dog. I would have to go fetch whatever he killed. But that gave me an opportunity because I was sitting there. Obviously, he followed all the rules, and he wouldn't, he would respect the laws. Like right now, you cannot kill this species or that species because they're reproducing and stuff. I don't know the word in English, but he was respectful to nature in his way. And but I was there, and while I was waiting, I would watch birds, see a frog, whatever. I was in contact with nature. And also these trips always took us camping. My family on both sides had ranches, so we would, like, my vacations, I remember coming back from holidays when I was a kid, and I don't know, kids would be saying how they went to Aruba or how they went to Disney World, and I would come with the greatest stories about how I camped out, how I slept on a hammock for 6 days, and we had to go to the bathroom in the outdoors and make a hole in the ground and then put cal, I don't know how to say cal, I don't know, this is white powder you put over cover what you did. So yes, I mean, I'm peeing in the river or taking a shower in the river because there were no showers. So yeah, that's how I grew up. And definitely that woke up that love for nature, that appreciation, because more than love is appreciation. No, I've always kind of like ran away from those tree hugger. In Spanish, we say come flor because you're like hippies and stuff. I mean, it's not really that. It's that way it would feel for me like I'm taking a pose or a posture or I'm acting out somehow. So for me, it's like really, really natural. For me, it's not like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go do some grounding by now. No, for me, there's no other way to go to the mountain but barefoot. And so yeah, it's very natural. And I think people, like you say, pick that up. When I used to do this sendero yoga,
I
that I
was gonna
would
ask you,
combine. Yeah,
yeah, because you've also
yeah.
brought your love for teaching biology yoga and then created like a group activity. What is Sendero Yoga?
Yes, Sendero Yoga. I mean, I haven't picked it up again after the pandemics, but yeah, I would take people into nature. We would do some trekking. Uh, Here in the city, I'm surrounded by mountains. In fact, this apartment where I'm living, I chose it because it was like I take 2 steps and I'm at the mountain. I take a 20-minute walk and I have the river and I can, take a dip. So for me, that was like really important. But I would take people out, and they would have like a different morning. They would walk out, like this mountain. It would have like this, the route that everybody takes to exercise. It's just like they just go, they take the time. It takes them to get to the top, and they're like training.
Right.
That used to be me, because I also did back in the days adventure races. And adventure races were very demanding. I had to train a lot for those, but they were always in nature. And I remember going to these races that are like, these eco challenges. They used to transmit this in Discovery Channel or something. They were like that. And I ran with a team. And I would always carry a fanny pack with a camera, those disposable ones. And I remember my teammates say, "Hey, we're in a race. You cannot stop and take a picture of the waterfall." And I said, "Yes, I can." And just stand there. And I would take a portrait. And I remember at the end, they would like a week after, they would say, "Hey, did you develop the pictures? Can we see them?" "Oh, now you want to
Oh,
see."
yeah, now you want. That was before the phones when people can take a picture of
Oh
anything.
yeah, no. At that time there were no phones. But yeah, for me it's been like always take the opportunity to appreciate. So taking people to nature, and maybe these people had gone to the mountain, but they would always take this route, and I would take them the detour into the the unknown route where there they could see the forest, the river, and not doing it because they were doing exercise. Forget about doing exercise today. Today we are taking a forest bath. So we would practice Shinrin Yoku, and I would explain people what this was about, and we would like do a meditation at the river. Maybe if there wasn't space to do a yoga practice, we would do like some kind of Tai Chi, Qigong movement. And I would always like the night before I would bake. And so I would bake with coconut oil and no flour. And I would take, little cups, how do you say this? Cupcakes, carrot cupcakes, gluten-free, lactose-free, whatever. And yeah, and everybody had to bring their water bottle. There were no like plastic bottles involved. I would take, I would like encourage people to take care of nature only for that morning. I don't know if you're going to keep doing it afterwards,
Right.
but it's like, planting the seeds, doing what I can. And it feels really good to it can get really frustrating for me. Like, I don't know if you've heard of, there's a thing now called climate change anxiety, or climate related anxiety.
Yes. Yeah.
Even psychologists are studying it. People are really suffering from this, and I get a little bit of that. I think being so aware and so sensible about it, it's I mean it can play against you, because yes, I am sometimes I really, right now I was at the States, and getting to see how people consume, how people waste food, for example, at a restaurant. The plates are so huge, and people just eat a little bit, and they just leave the rest to the trash. And there are all this, these practices that I reject so much. So for me, that's, maybe some people don't see that, or maybe they see it and it doesn't affect them. So yeah, I am really sensitive to these things, and sensible, sorry. And yeah, so I try to do what I can do to make a change. I know it's not too much, but it helps me sleep better. It gives me some peace to know that I'm doing whatever I can. I mean, my part.
Right. And also learning to release the pressure, because I like the
Yeah.
awareness, like so many of, we can talk about healing, the planet, everything. So much of the awareness is like, we see it, let's make a change. And then we see the people around us, sometimes they're not pulled to the same direction. They're not shocked by the same things, by the suffering that we see. And it's almost like, wait, how do we compensate for that? And then, in Stråla terms, we move out of our centers, we overcompensate, which I've really had to talk, because it's almost like teach myself to, okay, reground, because how can I create any kind of change if I'm always overextended, if I'm always trying to overcompensate what others are not doing? And it's almost like I'm screaming into nothing. But then it's like, okay, I can still create a change, live in a way that makes me sleep better at night, and do the things that I can, and also be like, okay, how can I release what I can't control, and also be very passionate about the things I care about, and still be in my place. It's like a dance of like,
Yes. It's definitely, finding that balance between uh doing something that gives you peace and makes you feel useful and optimistic, but at the same time without being overwhelming. Or I mean, I live it in my family. We are a 5-member family, my husband and my 3 kids. And since they were little, I've been, turn down the water faucet, turn out the light, or, and maybe they don't get it that much. I mean, they're not like, they're not, let's say, behaving like I would like them to, but I mean, it's there in their subconscious, and maybe at some time it will click, or at least it just makes me feel better. I don't know, just doing. But yeah, with my husband also, like I used to have this ¿cómo se dice? Emprendimiento, entrepreneurship, where I did big wax wraps and reusable bags, and I had my brand and everything. And it was really frustrating because I thought, because in Venezuela nobody was doing this. I thought, okay, I'm being this pioneer, and I'm gonna hit it off the roof because nobody else is doing. So I have all the market for me, but there was no market. Nobody was interested in these things, or maybe just a few. So at the beginning I started selling these things, and okay, I'm doing good. But it's like I only reached the only 10 people that were interested, and that was it. So
I also want to bring in something that I later learned. It was like bringing the social, economical, the political context. And I was like, right, because it's often like we do have the best intentions, and it's not like people don't care, but when there's other priorities, like for example, when we started a conversation right now, we've talked about Venezuela and a little bit of the politics, how it's like it's very hard to like feel safe or even feel that we have the resources. So it's almost like understanding it's not like they don't care, but it's their priorities are somewhere else.
No, of course, that's something that always I was really aware of. Like it's not, I mean, it's not me, it's not them, it's just that the circumstances are not helping. People have like other things bothering them, and maybe when you have like all the checks in the boxes, you can take care of this other thing that you don't feel is a priority. But and also people are very like short-term strategies. It's like, okay, I have to solve this right now, and right now this bag is so handy. But I am having trouble looking at the big picture and looking into the future. So yeah, I guess that's a let's say, ¿cómo se dice? Una falla, una debilidad, a weakness, or something. All humans have, we tend to see, okay, in Spanish we have an expression which is pan para hoy, hambre para mañana. So you can, it's or it's also like, you can say, can you translate it? Or
I mean, I was just like, another expression is like instant gratification. We just want the rewards now, regardless of what is going to cost us tomorrow, the consequences. But I also want to you know, like celebrate you and the work that you're doing, because even though it feels like a very small ripple effect, I mean, I also want to talk about your book, right? The fact that you're spreading this like one book at a time, one conversation at a time. Like, I know your students or the people that you've come into touch with, you've affected a part of them, because you have definitely, with our conversations from watching you, it's like you embodying the things. It's like reminder, we cannot ban all the straws in the world. Straws do help
Yeah.
people with disabilities, all of those things. But also at the same time, it's like, what can I do right now that doesn't destroy me, help me sleep better?
Yeah,
Tell
yeah.
me about,
Or at least doesn't make things worse,
right,
Like
or makes things
I'm trying,
worse.
yeah, I'm not, maybe I'm not, having all the effects I want, but I'm doing my best not to make it worse. Or like they say, leave in the place better than you found it, at
Yeah,
least. It's sort of like the philosophy.
yeah, yeah. Tell me a little bit about the inspiration of A Good Earthling,
Yes,
Un Buen Terrícola in Spanish.
yes. Here I have it in Spanish too.
Oh.
Yeah, well, I've always my kids have this beautiful collection of children's storybook. I've always felt an attraction and an admiration for illustration. So like I would walk into a bookstore and I would look at the illustrations, also the story, but the illustrations. I've always felt like this weakness for illustrations. So yeah, that children's book it's always been something I love. I used to love buying children's book for my kids. Now that they're grown, I don't have any excuses anymore. I don't so I sometimes, I don't know, buy them for my nieces, or sometimes I like it too much and I buy it for myself, or when I have grandchildren, I don't know. But yeah, it's always been on my mind to make a children's book. So I mean, the topic was kind of obvious. I knew it would have to be related with the environment and the earth and everything and nature. So yeah, I also found in the book a way to express like sort of like what was bringing up my kids. There's a lot of me in that book, like what toys would I buy my kids, because I was trying to teach them about taking care of nature, or definitely what activities we would like to do. I would take my kids to the mountains. So my upbringing rippled up to my children's upbringing. So my kids also had the same opportunities as me. And well, thankfully, my husband also, he was not so much into nature and everything, but he got on the train, and then we were like doing these things together, like camping out and stuff like that with the kids. So yeah, my kids were always very free. They had a really beautiful upbringing, so they were always at their grandparents' ranch and wearing plastic boots, or just catching ants, riding horses, or getting on trees. So it was a little bit of that, and also looking at the childhood right now, where you see these kids always with a tablet in their hands. Yeah, I see it, and that really bothers me. How kids are not in contact with nature. There's actually a syndrome. This guy, I don't know if he was a psychologist or a doctor, whatever, it's called nature deficit disorder, and it's a real thing. I mean, kids have gone to, I don't know, they maybe have learning disabilities or development tardiness or something, and they discover that the culprit of this is the lack of nature. So this guy described it as a syndrome. So it's a thing. And so with the book, I didn't even want to put it on the digital version. I didn't want to put up the Kindle version. And one of my sons, he was like, "Mom, you don't have to be such an idealist all the time. This is a business. You have to recover your investments. So no, don't do it." So it was, again, this control freak speaking. And he said, he was very wise. He said, "Mom, you have to put it also in the digital version, because you cannot control people." And so the parents, they will make a decision, an intelligent decision when it comes to time. And there will be parents who just want their kids to shut up in the back of the car, and they will just throw the tablet and read this book. But there are also the parents that like to, lay with their kids in the bed and read the story. So yeah, it's really biographical, because if you see like the first page of the story is the kid taking out the book from the library and then on the bed reading it with his mom. Because for me, those were like, the most precious times with the kids is laying in the bed, the bedtime story time and everything. So yeah, the book kind of like tries to like recover or rescue all these values that I see are lost with these new era kids, which are really intelligent, and now they know about robotics, and they can, I don't know, download an app, and they're really clever in that way, but they're not nature intelligent. They're not bodily intelligent. Like 3 weeks ago, I right now I'm teaching 7th and 8th graders, that because they knew my background, they asked me if I could do an activity with the preschoolers. And the reason they asked that is they said, these kids at the school where I'm studying, this is like a really technological school, and they have tablets, all the boards, all the last time I taught it was with whiteboard and markers, and now I have this electronic, it's like a huge tablet, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so confused. And so these kids are always like plugged into some device, and they started seeing this in the classroom. They're like all hyper, and they cannot settle down. So they said, we want to take them out to nature, but we want to teach them some tools to ground, to settle down. So I said, okay, I can do that. So we took them to this place, and the first thing we did when we got there, I told them to take off their shoes and their socks, because we were going to go around walking barefoot. And I called it like the walk of the senses. So they had to smell, touch, hear. We got to taste something. I said, we have to be careful. You cannot put everything in your mouth, but okay, this you can taste. So yeah, it was really beautiful. But something really startled me is that one kid wouldn't take his shoes off. He wouldn't take it. And then he accepted, okay, with the socks on. So yeah, that talks about kids that are not exposed to nature, and they're afraid of it. They're afraid.
Because like, what is poisonous? What is like, where do we even start? This is uncomfortable. Like, that was definitely me as a kid. I didn't have any exposure, and it was more fear. But then, like you said, just laying the path for them to walk, to be like sensitized to the senses and relax, because I, even as an adult, see it in myself. Sometimes so much of my business is online. Technology keeps me connected, and it's fun. But it can be I'm overstimulated. So if I don't take a step back to be like, okay, how can I check in with myself? Otherwise, we will be like those, was it in WALL-E? One of those many, many movies where we're like plug into a machine 24/7. I think technology is going to be here to stay. How can we have a relationship with it and not forget about nature? And I feel like this is what you always, you bring to the table. This is what you teach us. And I love the access that you have to nature, and you're like, come on kids, let's go out there. And I'm sure you're already changed your perception to it. Have you had more field trips like that?
No, we just had that one. They loved it. They definitely loved it. And then I brought a huge sheet, and we put it on the grass, and we did a picnic. And so then they were running around bare feet, and they really enjoyed it. But yeah, I guess it does little by little, you plant a seed, and maybe they won't all react the same way, because we have all our individual differences. But yes, there are kids, and also it depends on also the way that those families work out, if they do things regularly, if they take their kids out. Some moms are more conscious than others about these things, and they make an effort, but it's hard. It's like the system doesn't help. It doesn't definitely help. And also for myself, I work at this NGO, an environmental NGO, and the offices are in another city. I work from home on the computer all the time, and sometimes it's so ironic. I say I work to protect and conserve nature, but I'm not in nature as much as I would love to, because being a biologist, of course, I would like to do field work. But well, life had other plans for me. And so, but yeah, I not for work. I won't be in nature for work. I'm not doing like a research as a biologist, but I do take my time to go to nature, and I appreciate it. Because if I don't appreciate it, then my work would be meaningless. It's like, okay, what am I? Because I'm in the fundraising department, and I say, okay, I'm raising funds so that my mates, my colleagues can do their research or their conservation actions, etc. So yeah, I need to be sensitized so that I'm motivated to do my work.
And
because then yes, definitely.
How do you, for you personally, how do you stay grounded in the midst of everything that's happening, you know, the noise, the chaos, and sometimes feeling unmotivated? And it's so human, right? To be like, oh, just frustrated and want to go to the opposite. It's just, I'm not going to do anything, right? But also at the same time, be like, yeah, how do you come back to yourself?
Yeah, I guess I'm not like a methodical person like I would like to do. If I say, oh, I wake up every morning and I meditate for 10 minutes, no, that's not me. I try to do it because I know habits are really important. I'm not very disciplined in that way. So, but I guess, I mean, somehow I know it maybe more how do you say it's not like something I feel, but something that I know when it's rational, you know, maybe I know I need to do this. So I intentionally make a space for it because I know otherwise I would regret it.
Yeah.
And sometimes it will come back to me in a bad way. So it's not, so I kind of know I have to do it. Yeah. Like recently I started rock climbing, and for me, this is like sacred. Fridays at 6, I use my bike. So I guess that's something that I go to the school where I work on my bike. So it's pretty funny, you know, I'm wearing all this, you know, the uniform and everything, and I'm riding my bike. And but yes, that's a good start of the day. Just getting on my bike, feeling the air on my face, and you know, the sun, and listen to the birds, because it's not the same. Or you're in the car, I don't know, you'll probably turn on the air conditioner. So yes, I guess it's those like opportunities that I don't waste. It's like, okay, if I can get somewhere on my bike, I'm gonna go on my bike, not on the car. And if I can walk somewhere, I'm gonna walk instead of, you know, taking the car. Here we don't have public transportation, but at least not good system that I would use. But yeah, I guess it's taking the chance. Or maybe if I get up early in the morning, and there's like sun coming in the window of the house, I'm gonna sit there for a while, just open my eyes, look at the sun, feel the sun on my face, do some breathing exercises. But it can be different every day. It's not, you know, like I have this.
And it feels, for me, it feels a lot more expensive rather than having strict routines, because I'm also like, I know, like, once in a while I meditate when I feel like it. I just kind of like go with the flow. Sometimes I overwork, other times it's like, okay, there's nature, it's nice, it's sunny. And it's almost like those are pockets of opportunity to ground ourselves. Like, we don't need to, it's really about keeping it simple. And like, as human beings, we love to complicate things. We love to like try to strategize and like make things more efficient. But while we do that, we close ourselves into boxes. So, you know, the approach of like, you know, we just do our best every day, whatever our best looks like, and that's okay. Oh, thank you for sharing.
And also cooking. I just started cooking. I love to cook. I love to nurture myself and my family. That is something that it's been, I think, of us 5, my husband would be the one that's not so much into what we all eat, but the rest, and my boys, I just visited my boy who lives in the States, and I was so proud of him. So when I saw him eating his broccolis, and he has lived by himself I didn't raise him the past 10 years. And I was like so proud that, okay, that's stuck and he's still eating his veggies, you know?
You know, I need help getting my husband and his family to eat veggies.
Okay, we can get together, Let's make a club of desperate housewives. Yeah.
Get
But
our
yes,
family to eat more veggies.
yeah. But I mean, that I would say that's also a thing I do daily. I take my time. Thankfully, well, right now I'm working at the school and I have a schedule, but working from home, I take my time. So maybe people take half an hour to have lunch. No, wait, I take an hour and a half just to cook it. Then I have to eat it. So
Yeah.
yes, I make this elaborate dishes, and I cut all my veggies, so I like my plate to look beautiful and appealing, and I put color in it, and it's not that I'm just gonna make a regular pancake. No, I make like sweet potato pancakes with I don't know, whatever. So my husband, he
Yeah.
keeps saying that I don't eat normal. That's what he says.
I mean, if you have the time and space, like follow your joy, right? Because
Yes,
that
yes.
makes a difference. Like if that makes you happy, energizes you, do it.
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
mean, and it's like, I mean, there's all this talk about self-love. I mean, what more can I do to nurture myself in the beautiful sense of this word than to cook something super healthy and tasty and for myself and my family also. Of
Yeah.
course, cooking for them. Like when I make my sourdough bread, that's one of my, I don't know, most wanted moments of the week, when
Yeah.
I take the sourdough and I feed it and I wait, and all that is meditation.
Yeah, little
So yeah.
rituals, meditation to connect to yourself. And I think this is like an inspiration that, well, at least for me, to remind like you don't have to complicate things. Even cooking can be a moment of meditation. Even,
Yes.
cleaning your house can be a moment of meditation. And that's an
Mm,
intention and
I
approach
don't
that can take.
agree
You don't
with
agree?
the cleaning part.
I
No.
try to. I put on some really good music where I'm like just like vibing with it. And so at least I'm like dancing along to make it
Oh,
more
okay. Well,
enjoyable.
I'll
More
try it next
enjoyable.
time. But I enjoy cooking so much, but not washing the
Not to
dishes
clean. I know.
afterwards.
I
No, I don't
know.
like it. But yes,
Oh my
definitely.
gosh.
Even the coffee in the morning, I
Yeah,
love to
yeah,
buy my beans and I
yeah.
ground it. So yeah, I guess, yeah, maybe you're making me think that I do have my rituals without really
Yeah.
thinking
It's just
about
not a
it.
big thing. It's just part of your
Yeah.
life, which is
Yes, of
what's
course.
important, right?
Yes, it's not sustainable the other way around.
Yeah,
We both
I
know
agree.
this.
I
Yeah, yeah.
agree. Oh my gosh, Susie, it was so nice chatting with you. Where can people find you?
Well, you can look at what I do, a little bit of everything, in at Bienestrala. It comes from bienestar, which is wellness, and strala. And also the book has its own account in Buen Terrícola in Spanish. So, well, if you want to follow my adventures, and I'm always,
Of
yeah, people are always, what are you into now? What are you,
Yeah.
I don't know, what else are you doing? I just got a second job. So it's like, okay, if I have the time and I can spend it, you know, contributing or, doing something meaningful, I will. Yeah, for sure.
And of course, I
I
will
will.
link everything because I'm terrible at spelling too. So thank you so much, Susie.
Thank
And
you, Jess, for
find
having me.
her.
It was so much fun. Yeah, I loved it.
Yay, love it. Thank you,
Bye.
Susie.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. If you're feeling the pull to deepen your journey of self-trust and embodiment, I'd love to invite you to check out Human Design Fundamentals. It's a self-paced deconditioning library paired with live group support, designed to help you reconnect to your truth, work with your shadows, and nourish the gifts that make you, you. If you're seeking personalized support, you can also book a one-on-one session with me. And if you're a human design coach, student, or enthusiast, there are plenty of templates and resources waiting for you to make your work even more easeful. You'll find everything at wholeandunleashed.com. Thank you for being here, and see you in the next time.